Hi everyone, this is Bev, Clark Vision, and this is an update video that I've decided I'm going to do now, because I've got quite a few things here to show, and if I get too many things it can result in a long video, really. So anyway, so I thought I would just come on and get through this update. I've got a few different things here, CDs, a cassette, a couple of singles and some LPs. So, shall we start with Iron Maiden? I got my copy obviously on the day of release, Friday. I went for the CD, the deluxe kind of book style CD version, which is the same as the Live in Mexico thing that I got, the last release. Senjutsu, I assume that's how you say it. Very cool artwork, obviously. Everybody's digging the new Eddie. And this one, it comes in a kind of a card kind of slipcase thing. Maybe I'll put this, I've got no room here, disorganised. And so here's the kind of book, hardback book, front cover, and the rear you have the track listing all in Japanese on here. That's the back. The CDs are housed at the back, disc 1 and 2, and the track listing is in here in English. And the rest of it is basically, you've got about something like 26 pages in the book. Excellent Eddie artwork. I've seen this in the vinyl gatefold that a few people have shown. Obviously you're missing the third kind of portion here, which is slightly irritating. They could have folded it out maybe or something. But that's the only slight minor gripe I would have, is that. However, I just love this to bits, and it's a nice high quality paper, so you have lyrics and drawings, Japanese drawings inspired by obviously Japan and its culture and history and I guess all that kind of stuff, and you get these lovely eddies here as well, which I believe are also part of the inner sleeves on the vinyl, I think. So yeah, so you get all that, great stuff. And the album itself, I've listened to it twice so far. Listen number 3 will be coming up soon, actually. In fact, I've listened to it 3 times, I beg your pardon. 3 times. And it's grown on me each time. You know, I thought, on my first listen I thought, no, I don't hate it. I certainly knew it wasn't going to be like their 80s heyday, obviously, because as Cloudy said in his video, they've kind of moved away from that sound. You know, you can't really get an 80s sound when it's not the 80s basically anymore, in a way, you know, and bands evolve and grow, and some of them grow and mature and improve, some of them don't grow and mature and get worse. I could cite an example, but I'm not going to bother. Yeah. But there can be lots of reasons for that sort of thing, obviously, as well. And in Maiden, they've just, you know, they've had a long career. They've had lineup changes. People come back to the band. They now have 3 guitar players. And what interests me about the band now is what the guitars are all doing, because you've got them all doing different things, and a couple of them you'll get like the dual solo, where you get dual guitar solo, but you can get the third guitar now doing a background kind of rhythmic bit or something, or you can get all the guitars doing different melodies. It's as a guitar fan, it's very interesting for me in that respect. The tones of the guitars are definitely the more modern Maiden sound. As I say, it's not the 80s Maiden sound anymore at all. I don't know if a lot of it is Gers' sound and style influenced. What I've noticed in here myself is when I was listening through it, things came to me like, well, that could be from Power Slave. That reminds me a bit of Dance of Death. There's something in here that reminds me of maybe the Final Frontier album, or just bits and pieces that have been inspired by some of the past catalogue, I think, are dotted about in this album in places, I would say. It's things that it sounds like, oh, this piece or this phrase or this, little run or riff you might have heard somewhere else before, which I found in places. So, but again, there's I think also it's got quite a lot of new, fresh flavours about it as well. There's a bit of this Oriental kind of vibe about it, obviously with the Japanese theme as well. As for favourite songs at the moment, I really couldn't say what a favourite is at the moment. All I know is the last 4 tracks, which are on disc 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 6 tracks on disc 1 on the CD and 4 tracks on disc 2. I'm really enjoying all the last 4 tracks that appear on disc 2, and Darkest Hour kicks that one off. That's the one with the kind of nature sounds that on the intro and the outro, which is really kind of an interesting and a nice vibe about it. That actually, you wouldn't really expect that on an Iron Maiden album, but as I say, they're just doing different things, and I think they're entitled to do that, I suppose. But also, I mean, I quite like all the songs. The Writing on the Wall, that was the first single that dropped. Liking that more as well each time. Lost in a Lost World, Days of Future Past, really, really good, interesting songs. So that's all I'm going to say about it, but it's definitely a nice album. It doesn't feel like 80 odd minutes. I thought the time went in quicker than I expected. It doesn't seem as long as when I was first listening to the Book of Souls, so I guess that means I enjoy this, or I'm enjoying this one quicker, better, quicker. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but anyway. So that's about it. That's what I'll say at the moment. So really chuffed to have that. Highly recommended. Obviously, if you're a Maiden fan, what are you waiting on? So that is the first one. I'll just set that there actually. So next up, I decided to go on Discogs, and I was going through my want list, and thought I would just have a little dig around. Discogs is not somewhere I order stuff from too often, but I will go to Discogs if I'm struggling elsewhere, and it's a last resort or whatever. So there's a couple of things on my wants list that I managed to find at a fairly decent price, because one of the things is quite expensive, but I was prepared to pay this price for it, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the first one I picked up off Discogs is a cassette, and it's by the band Silver Bones. Now these guys are from Italy, and they're kind of speed metal, pirate metal, very much influenced by Running Wild, a bit like Blazing Stone. Another really good band. They have one full-length album out which I have called Wild Waves, and this tape I just wanted to get a hold of because I really enjoy this band, which is a demo. It's a demo tape that they released on Iron Records in I think 2014, and there's only 100 copies of this print pressed. This is, I don't know if you can make it, that's the number there, 54 of 100. And it's called Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. It has 4 tracks. 3 of the demos made it onto the album as proper tracks, and the opener, Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, is an instrumental, and it's just so good. It's a really enjoyable, interesting instrumental, very much, as I say, on the Running Wild kind of sound and inspired by. So there we have it. You've got pictures of the band on the inlay thing. There is the tape, black. So I was very pleased to get that. And I'm hoping this band is going to release another album soon, because I think they're due. Their album came out, was it 2016, Wild Waves, so hoping for more stuff. Next one I got on Discogs was a kind of a, I guess you could term it as a mini grail, simply because of the fact that it's really hard to get a hold of, and it's because it was reissued, and the reissues have all sold out, and that's why the price has just gone up. And it is this band here. Now these guys are a British, new wave of British heavy metal era band. They came out in that period, formed in the early 80s, and they never actually got around to recording and releasing an album. They released one single, which was titled We Stand to Fight. This was the single they released in 1985. So although they formed in the new wave of British heavy metal era, they didn't actually get their release out till that was kind of finished, 1985. But if you listen to this, it's very much of the new wave of British heavy metal sound, very much. So we had We Stand to Fight, and on side B was the track High Treason, and that was released originally on a label called Other Records. Now, if you want to try and get yourself a hold of an original 7-inch single from Other Records, you're talking hundreds of pounds, because it's that rare. And then 2 years later, in '87, they released an EP, which was apparently supposed to come out in 1986, but the record company had financial issues or something, so it was delayed till '87, and the band self-released it, which is it was a 3-track EP, and it was to be titled Fool's Gold. So the single is tracks 1 and 2, and the EP is tracks 3 to 5. Now, what's happened here is No Remorse Records have got a hold of the work of Virtue, and they've reissued the whole thing, the single and the EP, as a kind of an EP release, reissued, remastered, and all that jazz. And they released it on vinyl and CD. Now the vinyl, I was seeing copies of the vinyl issue for his 12-inch, and it was going for stuff like £80 to £100, and I just didn't want to pay that, obviously. There is a bootlegged version of it as well, I believe, you can get if you want to try and get it a little bit cheaper, but I think that's tricky as well to get. And obviously the CD version, which I was also seeing going for £40–50, but somebody showed up with a copy and it was selling for about £25, which is still extremely high, but I was willing to fork out to get my hands on a No Remorse reissue of the Virtue tracks, and every one of these tracks is great. It's all, new wave of British heavy metal stuff. They're on YouTube. You can find the stuff on YouTube if you want to sample them. And that's a picture of the band from the early 80s. Tudor Sheldon, Matt Sheldon, Boz Beast, Darren Prothero and Simon Walters were the chaps. So thrilled to bits to get a hold of that. So Virtue and We Stand to Fight. At last I can tick this on my collection and off the wants list. So this came from a seller, these both came from the same seller actually, from Greece, so brilliant stuff. And then another one that was on my list that I found on Discogs was this one. Again, it's tricky to find, by the German band Mob Rules. Kind of sort of a cross between traditional metal and power metal. They kind of have a bit of a mix. They have their own style, particularly on their earlier albums. This is their second album release, Temple of Two Suns, which is just kind of there. Temple of Two Suns by Mob Rules, and what it says on the hype sticker, it describes them as melodic power metal. A stamp of quality for high-class melodic power metal with individuality. And I think that kind of describes them quite well, the individuality part, because their debut album, which I have as well, Savage Land, fantastic stuff. And this as well is kind of very similar, more of the same. I think there's a story being told behind these albums as well. If you go into the liner notes in the booklet, it tells you about the kind of imaginary fantasy land that they're talking about, sort of thing. But yeah, there's just something really enjoyable and a bit fresh about their music. I have some of their later albums, and I think their sound's changed a little bit. It's kind of become more like the current power metal sound. It's very similar to other bands like Primal Fear, perhaps. That kind of idea. But yeah, I was really happy to get this. And interestingly, this was the cheapest one. There was about 5 or something of them for sale on Discogs. And I went for the cheapest one, which was described as very good plus, and it is. It's even better than that, actually. And where did this come from? That was the cheapest, including postage, etc. It came from Japan. That's right. Cheaper than Europe. Cheaper than, next door in Germany and Greece and Italy and all that. Japan. So, fantastic stuff. It's not a Japanese pressing, it is a German pressing on Limb Music Productions, or LMP. But yeah, absolutely delighted to have this as well. So there we have it. So that's the CDs and the tape. Now on to the vinyl. And these two 7-inch singles were eBay grabs. And I just picked this one up randomly. I heard it on the radio one day and I thought, God, that song was really quite good, and I hadn't heard it for a while. So I remembered when I came home that night to check it out just to see what was going on eBay, and there was quite a few copies available. And so I picked this up for $2.99. It just came in a generic sleeve. It's not metal, actually. It's by The Cars, and it is the track Just What I Needed. Is that right? Yeah, Just What I Needed by The Cars. And it's off their debut album from 1978. And it's on the Elektra label, which is, this particular Elektra I've never seen before, actually. It's kind of like a caterpillar on a leaf in the image, but you've got the Elektra kind of logo up here as well. Side 2 contains I'm in Touch with Your World, also from the album. But this plays really nicely. Nice, pretty clean sounding copy. There's a couple of surface scratches, but they don't affect the sound. So I was quite happy to grab that. Just another classic late 70s, early 80s rock tune, melodic rock tune. I'm not hugely into The Cars, but that song I do particularly enjoy, so that's why I decided to grab it. And staying with eBay, I actually consider this to be an absolute bargain, because I've seen this is on my wants list, and I've seen it on Discogs for no less than £25. And this person, this seller, had one listed for £4.99 as the opening bid. So I thought, okay, I'll watch it. Not only that, it wasn't just the single, it was actually a promotional copy as well, which you would think it would command a few extra pounds or something perhaps. And lo and behold, I was watching it and it was getting towards the end of the auction, nobody bid, so I waited to the very last minute and put in a bid for £5 and 2p, and I won it because nobody else bid, and I couldn't believe it. So it's Def Leppard, Animal, the Japanese 7-inch single release. However, it is an actual promo because you have the Japanese promo symbols on the actual record itself. I don't see any difference to the cover or the inlay sheet. They don't actually come as sleeves, they just come as sheets. So there you have it. And what's interesting about this version of Animal as well is the B-side contains, yeah, I don't know how well that's, B-side contains I Want to Be Your Hero. Now Japan, I think America and Canada got I Want to Be Your Hero as the B-side, whereas we in the UK got Tear It Down, and some of Europe and Australia I think also got Tear It Down as the B-side, which was kind of cool as well. And yep, it's in excellent condition. You had it described as very good plus. I would say it's definitely that and maybe a little bit more. So there is the actual single, and the promo indicator is this kind of symbol there. The box, I don't know how well you can actually. This little thing here is the Japanese symbol for promo copy. And on the other side is I Want to Be Your Hero, and again you have the promo stamp there. So fantastic bargain addition to my Steve Clark collection. So I was very pleased to get that. So that was the two singles. Onto the vinyl now. Got this a few days after the release date, just took a few extra days to get into the country. Brand new release just from last month is the third album from War Kings. Band introduced to me by Matt Weir, thank you Matt, and never looked back, really enjoy their stuff, excellent kind of epic power metal. So this is Revolution. It's Napalm Records, and it is on a gatefold sleeve as well, and there are your War Kings there. Very good stuff. This one I got from EMP, and it's on a colour that was allegedly exclusive to them. It's a sort of a deep kind of a oxblood red kind of colour. Really nice. And this is an excellent album. I know that Kevin over at War God 60's channel, he's singing the praises well for this album. He's loving it. I do enjoy it myself, but it didn't grab me just as much as you have an inner sheet with it for the lyrics and credits. I found myself preferring Warrior Path and Crystal Vipers releases just ahead of this one, although this is another excellent release. So I'm thinking more spins it could grow on me as well. So that was War Kings. Oh, what's that? It's a CD thing there. Next one. Fozzie, I'll just tell you now, if you're watching this, you guessed right regarding Martha Gabriel, and the next album I found with her. Picked this one up. This is an excellent find as far as I'm concerned. A band called Moon Chamber. And interestingly enough, they put together, they have two members of, or former members or founding members, I don't know if, I think they're still going, of the band Saracen, from the kind of new wave of British heavy metal era. And if you recently watched Cloudy Milder's channel, you would have seen him showing Saracen's Hero Saints and Fools that he recently picked up, and he's absolutely loving the album. So yeah, it's actually Robert Bendelow was the founder for Saracen, and he's the guitarist. And here in this band, there's also another guy, the keyboardist from Saracen, not the original keyboardist, I think it's a different keyboardist. He's also in here. Martha Gabriel is the singer and bass player on here. She is from Crystal Viper. And you have a chap as well from Pagan Altar. And this is just really, when I look them up on the internet, shall we just say, because I can't remember, Metal Shock Finland I'm on here. It's, you know, it tells you kind of what they are, and it's kind of traditional melodic heavy metal, melodic hard rock. Just a little bit different from the Crystal Viper stuff. Probably more melodic because of the Saracen input. But again, it's not like Saracen either. It's more hard rock sounding, and less what you might call far out, or what the heck's that word? That particular style of music. It's just on the tip of my tongue, and it's just not happening. Psychedelic. None of that. This is just much more in the realm of traditional melodic hard rock heavy metal. Just maybe not quite as heavy metal as Crystal Viper, but still really interesting. Loads of guitars to keep me happy, and just a great find. And I think Martha Gabriel is fast becoming one of my favourite female current modern day singers, you know. So this is released on, this is another No Remorse Records release from 2019, so it's fairly recent. And again, you have a nice, it's a fold out one actually, yeah. So you have a kind of a booklet. There's the band. Let me just put that there for a second. There's the band, Martha there, and the other lads. Lyrics and credits. More lyrics and credits on the back. The record itself, this is just black for very nice custom labels as well. There we have it. So again, another excellent find, and I would again highly recommend these guys to check out. Really happy to grab a hold of that. Next up is another one I had pre-ordered, and this dropped recently as well, from AFM Records. And again, it's Udo Dirkschneider's latest little project, Dirk Schneider and the Old Gang. And this is their EP, Arising, which just dropped a few weeks ago. AFM Records, as soon as the pre-orders were able to be pre-ordered, I was in there. Picked up one for myself and one for a very good friend as well, which is going to be travelling off to him tomorrow. So yeah, this is a 3-track EP, and every single song is fantastic, and so if there's an album coming with this on it and or anything like this, it's going to be amazing, and I'll be pre-ordering that. You get a nice printed inner sleeve as well with this, and so Udo and the old gang, as it says, you've got people he used to work with. So you've got Stefan Kaufmann, former Accept, his son Sven on the drums, who's also in UDO, Udo himself. You have a female singer as well who shares vocals, shares lead vocals and does backing vocals, Manuela Biebert. She's the one that I'm not really sure of her musical history. It doesn't tell you much online about her, but she's really, really good. Then you've got Peter Baltes, who is also ex-Accept bass player, and Matthias Deith, who is currently in UDO as well. So there you go. So again, really just melodic, classic, traditional metal. Really nice female vocals in the mix as well, and just Udo's classic signature sound. Highly recommended, guys. Oh, this one was, as I say, it was one of the early pre-orders, exclusive to AFM. 100 of them pressed and red and black marbled vinyl. So yeah, that's it there. You can sort of see the marbling through it. Really nice. And it plays at 45 RPM. But it doesn't indicate that on it, what it does. Second last. Won't be long now. So another one that I found on, this was another Discogs find, really good price, and I've been after this album since I picked up their second album. This is their debut I've got. Picked up their second album, probably about a year ago. Really enjoyed it, and this is the band Terminus. They are new wave of traditional heavy metal, and they hail from Northern Ireland. It's just another band out of the UK, and they are, as I say, just kind of traditional heavy metal. They're a two-piece outfit. One guy does the vocals, one guy does all the instruments, and this is called, what is it called? The Reaper's Spiral is the name of the album, and as I say, this is the debut, and it came out in, I can't see it properly. It came out in 2015. Yeah, it's actually on the back, on Horror Records. Never heard of the label before, but it says Horror Records. And it came in, this is its own custom inner sleeve, because you'll see the kind of graphic thing is on the sleeve. So the album sleeve itself is just like that. And again, it's comes with a merchandise sheet as well, and other stuff on Horror Records. And also you have a card in a sheet with the lyrics and some credits down here. And again, this is just on black vinyl. Did come in a polylined inner as well, which was nice. And there you have it. Really good traditional sounding heavy metal band. Another high quality new band out there. Again, they're on YouTube. Definitely check them out. And if I just manage to put all this in here, I'll be quite amazed. So that brings me to my last find, which was another eBay find, and again it was kind of a mini grail actually, because it's another tricky album to get a hold of, and it's a band from the 80s, and this is an 80s original pressing as well. So they hail from Sweden, this band, Stockholm, Sweden. They're kind of the style of music, the classic pop metal of the 80s, in the vein of maybe bands like Dokken Europe. Who else? These kind of, you know, that idea, that kind of band. Who else do I want to mention here? Anyway, but that kind of thing, I suppose. God, it's just escaping me. Kind of Pretty Maids, that sort of thing. A bit like bands like Great White, maybe. Rat, those kind of bands, sort of thing, but of the European ilk. And it's the band Treat. As I say, they hail from Sweden. They didn't really get going until the late 80s, when they kind of had more of their success. This is their debut album, Scratch and Bite, released in 1985, and they were signed to a big label. It's on Mercury, and the quality of this is in lovely condition. It's been well looked after, it's nice and shiny, and it apparently came with a poster at the time, and the poster is still here. And basically, if you want to see some classic 80s hard rock metal, look no further, guys. There you go. So this was Treat in 1985. The band's still around today. They have released some albums in recent times, although I've not actually got any of them. The Inner Sleeve, which is in lovely condition as well, and the record itself is super condition. It is Mercury, Treat. Yes, CBS Songs Scandinavia, and yeah, as I say, the record, there's a few light surface marks. I'd say it's very good, plus. Excellent condition, really. So I was absolutely delighted to get a hold of that. It can be a bit pricey as well. I put in an offer to the seller and they accepted. And so that means I now have all of the Treat discography that they released in the 80s. There's about 4 of them, I think. I've got all 4 of them. And yeah, just really good melodic hard rock 80s kind of stuff. So that is my update, people. Some great additions, chuffed with the lot. And feel free to check anything out I've mentioned. And thanks for sticking with me, just a fraction over half an hour again. You can blame Iron Maiden for that one, I guess, because I've rambled for about 6 minutes about them. But yeah, good stuff, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye just now.